Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us to this presentation. I love making presentations and I love making graphs and charts, so this was a great excuse to dig into the data and see how we've been doing at Better Marketing. So we're going to be focusing on three specific things. First is the boost, and I'm leading with that because I know that's what everybody wants to know about, a peek behind the scenes. But I also want to talk about our submission process, what we've been seeing, what we've been loving, what we'd like to see more of. And I also want to share how the acceptance rejection rates have been going behind the scenes for new writers and existing writers. Katie, Sinem, anything y'all want to say before I launch in?
No, all good. Just let us know in the comments if you are with us. Tell us if you are an existing writer for Better Marketing, if you are here to just learn new stuff as a new writer, or if you are thinking about joining us. I just realized that we are not live on Facebook, so everybody is joining us via YouTube as far as I can see. So feel free to hop into the comments and tell us why you're here.
Yeah, I'm looking in here already. I love reading where you guys are from and what you're looking for out of this. So excited to dig in a little bit more.
Morning. Yes, sorry, just looking at all the comments. So great to see everybody. Yeah, so while y'all are popping into the comments and saying what you're here to do and what you want to take away, I want to share like the number one thing I want you to take away from this, which is we are so excited to be the editors at this publication, and we are thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to work with writers, this is going to sound ambitious, but bear with me, make people better writers, make Better Marketing a better publication, and make Medium, the platform, a better place to read about marketing. And I think that what we're doing is contributing to that, and that's really exciting to be a part of. So if you've contributed to Better Marketing, thank you. All right, so without further ado, we'll launch into the top numbers. So these are the highlights, the highlight reel as of September 2023. We've been running Better Marketing since late July. We've been submitting nominations for boosts since the start of September, and we have had 83% of our nominations accepted. I love sharing this stat because when we signed on to the program, they were like, oh, if you get 50% accepted your first month, that's a good month. I'm an overachiever since I was born, so I was really excited to see that there is a ton of quality marketing stories already on Medium, and we are getting a chance to pull them out and get them the views that they deserve. Some Medium staff disagreed with us on the quality, but whatever. We're seeing a lot of great stuff, and we're thrilled to get boosted. Second, this is also really cool. Out of the stories we've had specifically from Better Marketing to get accepted, 93. So all except one, which I'm still really salty about because I thought it was a great story. But all of our one stories that we've nominated for Better Marketing have also been boosted, helping us grow the publication and make it a better place for you to publish as well. So onto the stats. This is going to look like a really small number, and I'm going to go into this, but I don't want you to feel discouraged when you see this. If you're here to learn about how to be a better writer, learn about boosting, you are probably not in this 85%. You're probably in the 14% or in the percent where, like, with just a little bit of work, you would get your article accepted. The bar is lower than you think. I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward. And out of the submissions from our existing writer queue, we took about 1 in 5, so just under 20% of the stuff that people are sending our way, we got to publish. This is also a really fun stat to share. So one of the things that we really wanted to do when we took over editorship of Better Marketing, we wanted to commit to helping make your stories better, not just saying, no, this isn't quite right, but saying why. So we can't do this for new writers because, as I'll share in a little bit, we get a really large volume. But for all existing writers for Better Marketing, if it's not a great fit, we try really hard to tell you why with specific actionable examples. And we say, you know what, resubmit this when you've made these changes. And so far, we've been really lucky. Everybody who's taken that advice on board, they resubmit, they get it published. We are thrilled to have it. So thank you for taking that feedback and being open to that. So as promised, some charts, which I love to make these. So this is a visual representation of the Better Marketing new writer acceptance. So you'll notice that this is not a yes or no chart. This is a yes, no, maybe. And you'll see in this, my mouse isn't popping up, but in the teal, you'll see that that's a conditional. So while we only give a straight yes to 14%, 28%, so over a quarter of our submissions, we say, you know what, we like your style, you're not quite there yet. We're going to add you as a writer. The story you submitted as your sample wasn't exactly right, but resubmit it and you'll at the very least get feedback, if nothing else. And again, we're doing this to try to increase the number of people that we can reasonably give real feedback to on your pieces. We can't do it for new writers, but we can do it for all existing writers. So that's what that conditional maybe section is about. Now we're looking at better marketing existing writer acceptance stats. So you've already seen this number, just want a nice pie chart to show you. About 1 in every 1 in every 5 stories we get sent our way, we accept. More charts. I just want to show that we are starting to get more submissions, which is exciting and also a little terrifying because, you know, all 3 of us have other jobs apart from better marketing. But we're getting a ton of new submissions every day. So this is July. You can see there's a big jump in August when we opened up new submissions again. And in September, we're not even all the way through September, and we've already gotten over 100 existing writer submissions. So again, if you're part of that, thank you. We are growing better marketing, and you are part of that. I now want to start talking about some of the things we've seen, and there'll be examples. So things we've seen and we have absolutely adored. Things we get these in our submissions queue, and independently I'll message like CNM or Katie and say, did you see we just got this story? It's so good, so excited to publish this. We love things that come from personal experience. So we've been lucky enough to see a ton of these things where the author says, I'm a marketer with 10 years of experience. Or there was one that I love that was like, I went to the farmer's market the other day and somebody was selling their oil really badly and I told him how to do a better job. Personal experience makes stories richer, better written, more exciting to read about from a reader perspective and an editor perspective. Unusual connections are always good too, things that we wouldn't necessarily put together with marketing. So I'll show you an example of this in just a second. Things that are really solid, thorough guides, things that say, you know, this is your guide, this is your how-to, that go on for, 8-9 minute reads, sometimes even longer. We love to see that. Here are some examples of stories we've published that did exactly this. So here's one we loved. I've spent 5 years in marketing, and these are the top 3 ways to make sure your ads don't suck. Personal experience shown through that piece so strongly. It was great to see this. 5 marketing tips I learned from working in porn. That is an unusual connection. Caught my eye right away. We read it, and it had some real actionable advice for marketers too. Love that. And easily extract an almost endless supply of low competition keywords. I actually tried this myself. It was such a thorough, easy to follow guide, really comprehensive, tons of value for readers. Love, love, loved this one. Things we don't love. I'm not going to call anybody out here, so there will not be any examples in this section, but just to kind of give you a taste for things that we've seen, this is more to show you that the bar is low, more than to discourage you from submitting. We've gotten a lot of this stuff, and that more than anything else contributes to our rejection statistic. We get ultimate guides that are 600 words long. Nothing very ultimate about a 3-minute ultimate guide. If you're going to use the word ultimate or even guide, we typically want to see things that are longer, deeper, more thoughtful analysis. No personal connection. We want anybody who comes to Better Marketing to feel like they've gotten something on Better Marketing that they wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else on the internet. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, so this is a steep ask. The best way to do that is by injecting as much of your own personal experience, your own connection into that story as possible. Typos. I got an email from a reader a couple days ago saying, hey, you made a typo in your email. That was embarrassing for me. Thank you for catching that typo if you're here watching this, by the way. Typos happen. 1 or 2 typos is not going to put us off. They happen. I don't hold that against anybody. When your article is full of typos, that says to me, I don't care about this article very much. And if you don't care about your article enough to run it through a spell check, it begs the question, why should we as editors? So if you're submitting your articles, definitely make sure to run it through Grammarly or some kind of spell check. Typos are easy to make, but they are also easy to fix. Ads. Again, we get a lot of these. Things that are just there to sell a book, a webinar, an affiliate link that's undisclosed, things like that. Write good stories. We're not here to help you market your whatever it is that you're trying to sell. So I wanted to share an example of some feedback that we've given and has helped this article get a boost for the writer, just because I've shown you now what you've given us in terms of the submissions, the stuff we love to see. I want to share a little bit of what we're trying to give back to you. So here's an example of a private note that I left on a writer of a story that I really, really loved, wanted to submit for a boost, felt that it was not quite there yet. The title was a little off, and I thought the structure could use some work. I messaged her. She got back to me. These are the changes that I recommended making, just to give you a kind of taste for the level of detail and feedback that I try to give to the people that I think are almost there for the boost or the submission, but not quite there yet. And this is the result. That story that we worked on together got boosted. And it was really great to see this because she did all the work. The author did all the work on this. She wrote this incredible story. She had the idea. I didn't do any of that. All I did was say, hey, I think this could use a bit of a better title and a bit of better structure. And that was all it needed to get the boost. And as an editor, it was really cool to be part of that process. I emailed her. She was kind enough to share a quote. She got tons of claps, highlights, comments. This is a screenshot that she was okay with me sharing of her stats when that got boosted. You can see that the views went up, the number went up, and that's good. As a writer, as a reader, as an editor, really great to see this. Here are a couple other screenshots from articles that have been boosted. You can see that it really has an effect. So boosting it's not always like a silver bullet, but you can see that, especially for you can see the top middle one, sometimes a story just needs that extra push for it to really take off. And in all cases, it gets you more views than it would have had otherwise. Okay, back to acceptances, rejections for better marketing, just kind of as a standard whole. This is what we're looking for when you send us your stories. Is it about marketing? Again, the bar is low. We get a lot of stuff that is really well written, but not really about marketing. It's in the name. We publish stories about better marketing. If it's about writing, but without a specific marketing angle, if it's about personal development, self-improvement, we've had stuff about all kinds of random unconnected things. If it needs to be about marketing for us to consider it. Is there a personal connection? So again, this is us trying to say what makes this stand out from the rest of the content out there in the wider internet. There's a lot of stuff out there. Personal connection helps take it to that next level. Is it relevant?
Can I just add something to the personal connection? Because I feel like this is the most intimidating part. If somebody is interested in marketing, but you've not been a marketer for years and you don't have decades of experience or something like that. If you have a marketing story to tell, if you have explored, if you have done a case study, you are looking into a brand that has done something exceptional, and you don't have that classical experience that we are looking for, a personal connection with that specific brand, the way you will still stand out, the way we will still love your story is by doing proper research, by giving us a story that is well researched, well written, and rooted in examples that our readers will actually enjoy and be able to use in their lives as marketers. You can write about a brand, a company, a marketing strategy that you have seen somewhere else that you've not done personally. But if you do so, dig even deeper and give us even more reasons to check all the other boxes so we can actually root for your story and we can confidently publish it. So don't be discouraged to submit, or don't feel like you're not allowed to submit to Better Marketing because you're not a marketer with 5 years of experience. You're still welcome. But if you write about someone else's marketing and a different brand that is not your brand and that is not rooted in your personal experience, just give us a little more, go the extra mile, do more research, dig into the specific examples, give us a how-to section on how you believe different marketers from different niches, but also different industries could potentially use the advice that you are sharing based on someone else's example. Sorry to interrupt. I just feel like this is important to note in case we have people who are just genuinely curious, but they are not marketers with example and they don't feel welcome in Better Marketing because the personal connection is not there.
Yeah. One thing about marketing is that you've been marketed to your entire life. And so if you are having a gut reaction to something, there is a reason. It's just a matter of following up on that and really digging in and figuring out why you're having that gut reaction and then finding some examples to back up that it could be a larger, greater experience.
Yeah, no, thank you for interrupting. That was a really great point, and you're absolutely right. Nobody has to be a professional marketer to get published in Better Marketing, because if that were so, I would not be published in Better Marketing nor editing it. But yeah, a great example of this, actually, I saw this recently with someone who had done a case study of an email that they'd got that convinced them to buy something. Something as simple as that is a great way to share your insights about marketing, make it personal, don't need a degree. So next, is it relevant and interesting? It's hard to explain exactly how, but again, this is about taking it to the next level. For example, I would probably not write a guide to affiliate marketing personally, because that's not how I market. I'm not going to have much to say about this that is relevant, that is interesting to my audience, because it's just not something I know a lot about. If you know a lot about affiliate marketing and you have something that's going to make it unique, stand out in some way, send it our way. Again, typos, run it through Grammarly. I don't think there's much more to say on that. Finally, is it good to read? This is, again, really hard to qualify. Often the three of us will read something and say, yeah, this is good. This is a quality story, but it's harder to say why. What was good about it? It just comes down to, did you care about it? Do you have a reason to write it other than I wanted to go viral? Do you have a lesson that you're trying to teach someone? Do you want to entertain someone? What, again, makes it stand out from all the kind of like boring marketing stuff that we've all seen on the internet? So that's what we're looking at to get accepted into Better Marketing.
Is it like, can I interrupt just to add one
Please.
to this list? Does it meet our submission guides? We work hard to make sure that our submission guides are really thorough. And that doesn't mean that there are a ton of requirements. There are just a few requirements. And we've seen time and time again where those aren't met. So you don't need to look at it every time, but I would just encourage people before submitting for the first time, or just once again to refresh your memory, look at our submission guides. We don't want the reason that we don't accept a piece to be because of titles or image source citations, that sort of thing. So just look at the submission guides.
Yeah, that's a super great point, because again, yeah, like you say, we hate to reject stuff for reasons that can be easily avoided, and we do it more often than we'd like. Checklist to get Boost nominated. So this is going to be, as far as I know, relevant for any topic, not just marketing. This is what we specifically look for as editors of Better Marketing. All of what we just said, but go the extra mile. So as editors, like Katie was saying, sometimes we get stuff that isn't perfect, right? But we let it slide because we want it. We think it's, still worth publishing. We like it enough to send it to our readers, but not necessarily enough to nominate it, because as I'll get into in a minute, we only get a certain number of slots per month. So if you're not linking to every single source, we might let it slide rather than going back and forth with you 1,000 times in the Medium private notes, which are a pain. Maybe you don't have a super compelling message running through the whole story. Maybe it's a little more generic than we'd like normally to make it go that extra mile. So if you really want to get nominated for the Boost, if you want to write a story, ask yourself, I always do this when I'm writing my articles, whether they're about marketing or something else. Would I be proud to show this to a family member or a friend? Like, is this something where I've put craft and time and effort into it, and I would happily, genuinely ask yourself, would I send this to a friend and say like, hey, I think this is good, proudly? That's a really good indication of whether it's something that we might nominate for a Boost. Is there anything missing from this that I didn't consider? So sometimes this means like, what could a reader potentially object to in this article that I can preemptively address? Is there like another angle, like I'm talking about, I don't know, again, affiliate links, but I'm not talking about how people use content marketing in combination with affiliate links. Just think about all the angles that you can cover and whether it makes sense to include them. Would this story convince someone to pay $5 for a Medium membership? So if you're on Medium, you know that the whole Boost program is Medium's way of trying to get more people to pay that $5 monthly membership fee. They want to surface stories that make people say, wow, that's good. I'm definitely going to pay $5 to read content here, even though there's a whole wide world of free internet content for me to consume at leisure. That's what they're trying to do. So ask yourself, is this worth $5 a month? Would my friend recommend this to a stranger? Again, would they read this and be like, dang, that's really good, I will send that on to somebody else? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sina.
Just to add, if you've been on Medium for a long time, or you've seen a lot of Medium content, you ask yourself these 4 questions. A typical listicle type of story that goes like 4 reasons everyone should do email marketing, or the 4 best email marketing tools, or stuff like that. Those are articles you might be happy to find if you do a Google search, but they are nowhere close to meeting those boxes in terms of nominations. So this has been something for me, like, it's very hard to meet the boost criteria if your story is a typical listicle. And I'm saying that as someone who has published more than 600 articles, and I would guess at least 70% of my stories are listicles. But if you ask yourself whether you're proud to show a story to a family member or friend, and whether someone would proudly recommend the story and it's a listicle, the answer is usually going to be a no, because boost-worthy stories, they need a little more than a list of items. Usually, I've seen the opposite too. I have seen boosted listicles that did well and that I think are that deserve the boost. But in my head, it kind of makes sense to compare that kind of structure where you just pull information from a different sources, you put it together into a list format. It's very different from a piece that has a thorough storyline and that requires a little more attention and editing than a typical listicle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if that's just my take. What do you two think when you think about the submissions we've reviewed? When you see even just the title
I'll use
of the
that
story.
marketing and porn one, 5 lessons I learned from marketing and porn. That was one that I saw and I was like, I know what this is going to be. It's not going to be very good. And then I based on the title alone, right? I was like, 5 tips, porn. This person is clearly just trying to get clicks. But I did click because we're editors and we read all the submissions. And I was blown away. So I know, again, I think you're right in that my impression is that looking at submissions, a listicle is rarely going to meet these criteria, but there are definitely exceptions.
No, I think you were sort of spot on. If it's a question that can be answered by searching Google and you don't even have to click through anything, it like pops up immediately. It just isn't differentiated enough. That goes back to like, will this get people to pay $5 a month for this? It's those other ones that like really stay with you beyond just, oh, now I have the answer to a question I had, answering questions I didn't know I had, or making me think about things that really last and stay with me are the things that I think really set things apart. You're muted, Zuli.
Embarrassing. We've done this for 3 years. Anyway, we're about 2/3 of the way through the presentation. There will be loads of time at the end for questions and answers. Feel free to pop them in the chat now or hold off until we're at the end. Totally up to you. For the next section. So I did want to share some boost like behind the scenes, because I know before I was a booster, it all felt very cloak and dagger. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the process, how we look for stories to boost, some statistics. I might have another graph in there. So headline stats. As better marketing editors, we get to nominate a total of 40 articles per month. That's it. That's our quota. We, as I already bragged about, have a higher acceptance rate than average. We get 80% of just over 80% of our nominations accepted, which is very cool. I did want to share that we coach about 1 in every 5. So we'll see a story that's like, it's almost there. It just needs a little help to get it over that finish line. And the really cool thing is that for almost every single writer we've coached, we've gotten that nomination accepted. Again, there was one that I'm still bitter about because I thought it was a great story and Medium disagreed, but I still think that it was great to be able to help that writer make a better article and make that nomination regardless. Here's the chart I promised. I know a lot of people worry that they have to go through these official gates in order to get boosted. And I wanted to say that I've been a beginner on Medium. It was a long time ago, but I still remember what it was like. And the idea of writers like somehow having to arrive on Medium and know that they have to go to these special publications in order for their stories to have a chance, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be part of that. And I wanted to make sure that you don't have to know the special unspoken rules in order for your writing to have a chance. You just have to be good at writing for your writing to have a chance. So as far as we can control that, I know I looked at where we found stories on Medium, and only a little under half of the stories that we ended up nominating came from within Better Marketing. Over half come from somewhere else. I don't know about you, Sina, but I know I spend about 45 minutes every morning. I make myself a little cup of coffee and I go through the marketing tag page. I go through the branding tag page. I go through the advertising tag page. I go through as many related tag pages as I can and look for stories that have that special something that I think might be worth a boost.
Yeah, and we talked about this internally. Honestly, this is our process right now. In a perfect world, we would have the chart would look a little different, and we would be able to have more boost worthy and boost nominated stories in our publication, simply because we are editing the publication and we want all great marketing stories to be part of Better Marketing. But we know the publication has been inactive for a while. You might not be familiar with the idea of publishing in publications yet. So we do take a lot of time screening the tag pages, the topic pages. Actionable note for you here, if you are a writer and you're struggling to get your writing in front of an audience, is you have to use the tags / topics that you can add to your stories. This is a little confusing because tags and topics are used for pretty much the same thing now. You have an option to have 5 topic tags on each of your stories, and you have to use them in order for your story to be discoverable, so that we can find them when we are looking for stories on marketing, social media, advertising, branding, whatever. We try to look into some broader topics, but also go niche into topics like email marketing, advertising, email marketing strategies, etc. If you use your topic tags in a meaningful way, we are more likely to actually find your stories on those pages. So don't use the biggest tags you can find. Don't try to game the system. It's not going to work. We want your stories right where they belong. And yeah, Zuli has actually prepared a wonderful slide, the next slide, guiding you through the exact process we run, just so you have an idea of how we are looking for those stories, because it is taking us a lot of time to find boost-worthy stories outside of Better Marketing.
I will say I love doing it. I've found a lot of really great writers that way that I don't think I ever would have found before becoming a nominator, but it's been a lot of fun. And on the Better Marketing side, whenever we do find them, I always leave them a private note like, hey, next time you're writing a marketing story, think about submitting it with us, because ultimately we want to grow the publication for our benefit as editors, but also for yours as a writer for a bigger publication. So this is what I do. Picture it. It's 8 a.m. I pour myself my cup of coffee. I sit down and I go to marketing. I go to medium.com. I start with our existing writer queue. I don't want to only favor our own existing writers, but I am the editor of Better Marketing. I always start with the people who are already writers for Better Marketing, and I look at what we've got and I look for stuff that is good. Like I said earlier, hard to quantify exactly what this means, but it normally means, is it something that I had fun reading? Like I get to the bottom of it and I'm like, yeah, that was a well-spent 4 to 5 minutes. No typos. You got to care about your story for me to care about your story. Is there a headline that gives it a good chance of sticking out? This obviously is not clickbait, but something that makes me interested and excited to say, yeah, I want to learn more about that. Is it long enough? This happened to me today. I was looking at our existing writer queue. I was like maybe 400 or 500 words into the story and I was really getting into it, and then it stopped. And I was like, come on, give me another 400 words of this. This is really good. And I don't know about other topics, but certainly for marketing, a story typically needs to be about 800 words at least to be deep enough, to be interesting enough, to have the critical analysis that I'm looking for.
I just want to add something here, because we don't have it. We don't have that same bullet point when looking for the tag pages and topic pages, but this is something I really consider. Like if I go to a topic page and I screen to the marketing stories and a title is interesting, but I see that it's a 2-minute read,
I don't even click.
I don't even click because I doubt that a marketing story will be complete, interesting, thorough, well written if it takes me 2 minutes to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might be wrong. Sometimes there might be marketing stories you can tell with very few words, but it's a red flag, and we have to consider a lot of stories. So we have to browse through a lot of stories to get great nominations, and that is just an instant red flag. And especially if your title says something like ultimate guide
Yeah.
or this is how you achieve X, like, or best marketing strategies to blah blah blah. You cannot teach me the best marketing strategies in any field if you don't write an at least 5-minute story. This is yeah, there might be exceptions, but typically it's a red flag for me.
Yeah, and like you said, we have a limited amount of time, a lot of stories to get through. That's just one thing that makes it easy for me to say, nope, moving on to the next one.
Yeah, and if you feel like your story is complete in being a 2, 3, 4-minute read, or I'll say 2 or 3, make sure the title represents the fact that your story is complete with that many words. Like, don't call it a complete guide or ultimate story, whatever. Make sure your title is aligned with the story. Then it might be interesting. Then I might be more compelled to check out whether there's this quick lesson, a quick learning, whatever you want to share. And
like something like a 2-minute guide to help your articles rank in one easy step. That is clickable. That where the title lives up to the promise of the story. It doesn't have to be super long. Still valuable to readers.
Yeah.
Not AI. Yeah, there's a lot of garbage out there. There's no perfect AI detector, but typically the way that gives it away is it's not very personal. A robot can't tell me how they spent 5 years in marketing and that's why all my ads suck. A person can, and I'm going to learn more from the person than I can from a robot. So I look for things that are personal, that have some kind of, again, not necessarily like 5 years of experience as a marketer, but something that only a person could have written. Like, I read this email in my inbox and it made me press buy. Here's why. Somehow unique. So this is also really hard because sometimes I'll read a great story that's like, about Apple's marketing event, right? They just unveiled their new iPhone. We've seen a lot of that already. And every time we see a new story, the bar for the next story gets a little bit higher because it doesn't only have to be a good story. It has to be better than all the other stories that have been written in the last week about Apple's marketing event in order for it to stand out. So we're normally looking for things that are, or I'm normally looking for things that are unique, something I haven't considered, something I haven't seen before. Once I'm done with our existing writer queue, I then head over to our new writer submission. So there's a new writer form. You have to send a draft of a sample that you think would be a good fit for Better Marketing. I look at those too. And fun fact, one of the stories I've been most excited to nominate came from this slush pile. So don't think that like we're all used up by the time we get to here. I love getting new stories in through this queue because I think it's a great place to find new, like, undiscovered talent. And then I follow the same process. I go through that same checklist. After that, if I still think that, I've got a little bit more juice left in me, I then go to the marketing, branding, advertising, blah, blah, blah tags. If you go to medium.com/tag/marketing, it will take you to a page where you'll see kind of all the related tag pages that I scroll through right at the top. So you'll have an idea of what I'm seeing and what I'm looking at. All the same process. And at the end of that, if I still have some coffee left in my cup, I then go to authors I've nominated before and I see if they've written anything new in marketing that I think could be good. Finally, I determine if the article is good as is or if it needs a little bit of help to get over that finish line. Spoiler alert, normally I'm pretty tired by this point. So don't count on that feedback. It's always easier to submit a story that is perfect as is. I do want to help I do want to make an effort and help, but to make my job easier, you should not count on edits. Try to polish your story yourself and get it to that next level as much as you can on your own first. All right, we're almost there. I want to end by saying, and this is a screenshot that hopefully I am allowed to share from the form that I fill out every time I nominate somebody's story for a boost. this is what helps me decide whether or not I'm going to boost it. Sometimes I'll have a story in mind and I'll go through all the other questions and I'll get to this point and I'm like, why is this good enough for a boost? And sometimes I get to this point and I'm like, you know what? I don't think it is. So I follow this process for everything I write and everything I submit now. What makes this worthy of a boost? I go to those quality standards that they've hyperlinked there, and I really think, why does this deserve to be boosted? Sometimes for my own work, when I'm salty that something didn't get nominated for a boost, I think about this and I realize that the reason I thought it should get boosted is because I thought I deserve to get boosted. And sometimes for the story, it just isn't true. It's not unique enough. It's not good enough. It's not relevant enough. It's not personal enough. There's an element missing. So to give yourself the best chance, pretend you're writing this answer for me. Pretend you're writing this. I think this is worthy of a boost because I go super deep into this email I got in my spam folder that ended up making me buy a $2,000 ebook. Here's why this marketing worked on me. I'm spitballing here. This is what I fill out every time I nominate a story. And the more you have this in mind when you write, the easier it is for your story to get nominated. Okay, I feel like this has been a lot of tough love. We've talked about how much garbage we see on the internet. I want to end by saying this is not a way for us to say like, oh, we hate being editors of Better Marketing. We love being editors of Better Marketing and we want your stories. We are excited to get your stories. You might be thinking, oh, if there's only a 1 in 7 chance of getting accepted as a new writer, I'll just wait. No, the bar is lower than you think. We see a lot more ads. We see a lot more AI. We see a lot more stuff that, they just didn't fill out the style format or they have way too many typos in the headline alone. The bar is lower than you think. If you're here, you're probably already above that bar just because you're committed to improving yourself as a writer. You're committed to taking feedback and getting better at your craft. Again, we see a lot of stuff. We are dying to read your incredible stories about marketing. We want to see them. We want to nominate them. We're excited for this. And we just can't wait to see what you have to send for us in our queue next week. So that was our presentation. I'll now pause. If you have any questions, we'll go through starting at the top. If you have any others, feel free to pop them in the chat. Before we get into that, Katie, Sinem, anything to
add? Really just especially the last few things you said. We do want your stories in the publication. We just want you to be really careful about writing stories that you are proud of and not just churning out content. And this is a huge switch on Medium per se. If you've been on Medium for a while and you've just consumed a lot of how to be a creator content, you have this idea in your mind that the more you create, the more you publish, the better. And that just doesn't apply with the current boosting and the distribution standards on Medium right now. You're going to go you're going to have much better results. You're going to be a much happier writer if you go that extra mile for every single of your stories and you write one really great story that you believe in and that has a chance for a boost, instead of writing 5 average stories that are generic, a basic listicle, a basic how-to on something you haven't even done yourself, just something where you think this is what you should be writing, or you are imitating some other big writer whose stuff you like to read. I do see a lot of changes in what is doing well, what is getting distributed compared to a couple months or years ago. I just highly encourage you all to be invested in the story you write. It's better to write one really great story. And I'm not saying better for us. It is better for us as editors, but it is also going to pay off more for you as a writer, whether that's in terms of growing your audience, growing your email list through your call to action, but also the monetary reward you might gain through the partner program is going to be significantly larger if you have one outstanding, great, boost-worthy and boosted story compared to 5 basic generic stories that you are not necessarily very proud of. Is there anything to add from your side, Katie?
No, I don't think so. No.
Perfect. Let's get into the questions then, shall we?
Yeah.
Just scrolling. I have one just to clarify in case we have some new writers with us. So Milena asked, what is the advantage of publishing directly on Medium or through better marketing? Zuli, do you want to give us a quick pitch?
This is a great question, and I do have a pitch for this because I saw this earlier and I was like, all right, I know how I'm going to convince her. Okay, so I want to, I guess, clarify whether you mean Medium versus better marketing or on Medium versus the internet. And in either case, it's a question of getting access to an established audience. So especially for beginner writers, you publish on the internet or even on Medium sometimes, and your story goes nowhere. When you publish with better marketing, you're getting access not just to your own followers, but you're also getting access to better marketing's pool of followers. That's what we're trying to do as editors, by the way. We are working to make sure that when we send a story to Medium's followers of better marketing, they're excited to click on it, that they're used to getting quality stuff from us, so that when your story gets published, they are used to seeing stuff that's amazing. They're used to clicking. They know that they can trust the quality that comes from better marketing. So you get access to a bigger pool of potential readers. You also get access, hopefully I've been illustrating this through this presentation, to a lot of thought and consideration about how your story can be better. So a lot of editing is just saying, yeah, this is good enough. No, this isn't quite right. But a lot of it is also, and if y'all have published stories with us in the past, you'll know that sometimes you get a little note that says, hey, this is really good. We'd love it if you could make this change. We think it'll make your story better. That's also what you're getting when you publish through better marketing. You're getting a second, third, and fourth, in some cases, pair of eyes saying, yeah, this is what the story needs to really shine. And as a better marketing contributor, you also get first crack at those boosted slots that we have to share every month. It means that you're going to be the first kind of content that we see when we wake up that day looking for stuff to nominate for a boost. So last, I want to say, you know who your target audience is. So this is true more for better marketing than for Medium. When you publish with better marketing, you know that you're reaching marketers, not just like a random selection of your followers. So this is really helpful if you want to write about marketing. You know that your article is going to reach who you intend for it to reach, and that is rare on the internet, I think. That was a longer elevator pitch than I probably should have done, but I had a lot to say. Either of y'all have anything to add?
No, perfect.
I think just one thing I'll reiterate from what we said during our last live is that we're really committed to marketing the writers who are on better marketing, be that through Boost or sort of whatever avenues we have. Our goal is to help you get more viewers. And you have all three of us working on that when you are publishing through better marketing.
Exactly. Another question. I'm not sure if this is related to timing. What is the turnaround between Boost nomination and being published?
They are actually two separate tracks, aren't they? Like two separate processes that we follow.
Yeah. But is this related to how long it takes, right? Or do I miss something here?
That's my best guess.
Okay.
This is our Time podcast series. If you'd like to clarify, post lower in the comments. Yeah, I mean, when we submit something for a boost, we normally hear back in a couple of hours. We look for stuff in our drafts, but we also look for stuff that's already been published. So it's not it doesn't have to be a draft for it to be nominated. For the publication, it normally takes a little longer because we are a team of unpaid individuals and we have other jobs, but we try to get back to people who submit to us, whether they're new writers or existing writers, within 5 business days.
Exactly. Another one. Do you also make money from a boost? Does the publication get a cut of the increased readership?
Is it bad to say that I wish we did? No, we don't. We don't actually get any money from writing better marketing from Medium. We do earn I don't know what to call it, like a headhunter's fee, I guess, when we get a story successfully, when we nominate a story for a boost and Medium's like, yeah, we agree, this is a good story. We earn like a small fee for that. So that's great, but we don't get a cut of anything you earn, whether it's boosted or not, whether it's in better marketing or not. We just get the pleasure of a job well done.
Yeah. And still, there is this exciting incentive for us to keep our acceptance rates really high, because we get that small fee, but then also we, like, if at any point we get to nominate more pieces, the nomination process looks different, etc., etc. We want to be one of the first ones to be able to access those tools, and we know that's only going to be possible if we have a high acceptance rate. If 60% of our nominations are going to get rejected, at some point Medium is probably going to shoot us an email saying, hey, I think you got something wrong there. This doesn't work. So we do have a high emotional incentive to actually get our nominations through and make sure that the stories we do want to nominate get accepted. Tag question. Do you have a rule of what the first two or three tags need to be?
I think I know where this might be coming from, because I was surprised to see that Justin Cox of the editor of Writing Cooperative, requires that the first tag not be writing, which I thought was surprising because it's counter to how I understand tags. No, I don't think we have a rule. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I need to read my own submission guidelines, but I don't think we have a rule on the tags that need to be there. In terms of distribution on Medium, it's always a good idea to use the ones that your stories is about. I think the current recommendation is to use, like, obviously stick with that, but then within that, use the ones that have the most engagement, the most following. And now, thanks to Medium's tag pages, you can actually see how many people follow a particular tag, and you can kind of scroll and see how many people are engaging with the stories in that tag. So I would recommend marketing as one of the tags for better marketing stories. But beyond that, anything like branding, advertising, SEO, email marketing, content marketing, like whatever your story is about, basically.
Yeah. I typically recommend like 2 or 3 broader tags and then going more niche. It will depend on what exactly the story is. Sometimes you just need broader tags. Sometimes you can go very niche. So because we have a follow-up question on that, saying, do you want a broad tag like marketing as the first tag, or a narrower one more specific to the particular aspect of marketing the article is about? As Sully said, we don't have a specific rule on that. I know the Writing Cooperative's rule. We don't follow that in Better Marketing, and I don't follow it as a writer myself. So I will typically start with the broader tags and go niche.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because it feels more intuitive to me.
As far as distribution, I don't think I could be wrong on this. I don't think the order of the tags makes a difference if you put marketing first or put it last. I do know that visually, when you write a story on Medium, the first one you use is what will show up under your story. So I think that's where Justin's coming from when he has his guidelines. So obviously it's in the Writing Cooperative, it's about writing. So he wants to know if it's like fiction, nonfiction, advice for writers, whatever. In terms of distribution, does not matter. In terms of helping your audience figure out what it's about, could be useful to use it as something other than the first one. But other than that, I don't think it matters.
This is a question I think might be really interesting to answer. Do you give feedback on not accepted articles? Hard one.
I guess the short answer is, well, yes and no. We do give feedback to articles that are from our existing writers who's, we don't accept their article for whatever reason. We'll normally leave a note saying no and why we're not taking it. I think we typically, like, if we think it has a good chance, if it's not about marketing, for example, we'll say this isn't about marketing, we're not going to take it unless you make it about marketing. But if it's a no, but just the call to action is too long, or it just needs more of a personal angle in the intro, we'll often say why. We'll say, no, we're not taking it. This is why, resubmit later. In terms of new writers, that's where we have to draw the line. And that's why we make a real effort to, if we think it's almost there, we'll still add you as a writer so you can submit your story and then get that feedback if we say no. But we don't have the bandwidth to give feedback to individual writers who aren't existing writers for Better Marketing.
Yeah. And also the feedback we give is typically feedback that we can give within a couple of minutes. We cannot help you edit your entire article. We cannot help you change up the entire structure or storyline of your story. We can tell you, hey, here are 3 minor things that you should probably change in order to get published with us or to have a better chance to get nominated. If it would take us 15 minutes to give you an explanation on why the story doesn't meet the guidelines, that's not going to work. So it's kind of, we see that you made an effort, your story is almost there, but there are a few little things that you probably missed because you're still a new writer, you didn't check the guidelines, or there's just something that you couldn't have known. That's where we will step in and happily help. But we're not able to give an article that is like 10% of the way feedback to get it to 100.
Yeah, I think we kind of have, when it comes to or better marketing submissions, there's sort of 3 categories. One is that it's been accepted. One is that we're passing, and we always give feedback on why. If it's, whether it's like not a unique tilt to something, even if it's well written and it's not sort of what we're looking for right now, or if it's like really has some major issues, we'll always give feedback there. And then the third category is that like it's almost there. There are just a few things that we need you to change, whether it's something as simple as making sure that it's meeting submission guidelines for the title, or linking to your sources. And in those cases, we'll give that feedback and encourage a resubmit as well.
Yeah. The next question is really exciting because this is something we've discussed internally just before we hopped on this live stream. So, are marketing stories related to freelance writing tired? Do you still love or hate those? We are, so officially, we do want stories on writing if they have a marketing tag. And it's really hard for us to draw the line because every writing story could have a marketing angle or could be relevant for marketers, but we are trying to look for explicitly marketing related writing stories there. And it's, if you are talking about how to market yourself as a freelance writer, we will love to see that. If you are writing about how to write cold emails, how to pitch yourself, how to maybe even how to set your rates, I don't know, there are 1,000 different opportunities you have in terms of linking marketing and freelance writing. We will love to see that. If it's more related to the craft of writing itself, it's probably not the best fit. Do you have a better way to explain this? Wait, Zuli, you're muted.
Again, anyway, no, is what I said. I think you did a really good job of explaining something that's quite complicated. Even internally, we're having a hard time drawing a line here because, yeah, we don't want to become we don't want to become the writing cooperative. The writing cooperative exists, and they do such a bang up job of curating great stories about writing. We don't want to try to become that. We also don't want, and I know this is a danger because I write a lot of creator economy stuff myself. We also don't want to become Started Up, which is more about creator economy articles. Like, to give an example, I just saw this in my submission queue. Really great article lining up, or like writing out a bunch of marketing statistics for professional employed marketers. I would personally love to see more of that kind of stuff because I feel like that's what we've got a lack of right now. So there's no hard and fast rule we will and won't accept as long as it's tangentially related to marketing. Personally, I would love to see some more traditional marketing stories, more from like, traditional, more employed marketers, just because that's what we're not seeing right now.
Yeah, I think I would almost edit our question to ask yourself of, is it marketing related, to is it explicitly marketing related? Obviously, there are a lot of facets to marketing, and it could be argued that good writing in any form is related to marketing, but when we're publishing it in Better Marketing, we want that that correlation to be really explicit. And so whether that's like editing a piece that you've written to more explicitly tie to marketing, or realizing that it's not a great fit for this particular publication. Sorry, baby squills. Is it explicitly about marketing, and not just can you tell that there's a relation, but is it sort of spelled out within the piece itself?
Yeah, exactly. This is a question. The next question is one that I love to see. So I've been on Medium for a while, haven't had the courage to publish anything yet. Do I have to have a certain volume of content on my profile first and then submit to Better Marketing? No. I can speak for myself saying I don't check your profile before or after reviewing your story and giving it a yes, maybe, or no. If you are a brand new writer, this is your first story and it's a banger story, we will be so excited to see you in our submissions queue or in the new writers forum, because we will be really excited and hope that you will submit more in the future.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a volume or an existing catalog to submit. We are looking at that particular story that you are submitting. And this is also true for new writers who submit through our form, who are new to Better Marketing but have a huge backlog on Medium. We're looking at that particular story, and our bar for new writers is slightly harder or higher than for writers who are already in the submission.
Mm-hmm.
So go that extra mile, do that extra round of editing if you are submitting as a new writer. But don't be discouraged. We love to have new voices in the publication, and if you have a story that is ready to be published with us, we will be very happy to see it. Any additions? Do any of you do check profiles?
No, I do sometimes check profiles, never for our writer submissions, only when I'm looking at stories to boost that are not inside Better Marketing in any way, or like not in our new writer submission queue either. I do sometimes look at the profile just to see like what they say about themselves, how frequently they're publishing, that kind of thing, more to get a sense for the context around the story itself. We've been lucky that normally, if you're submitting to Better Marketing, all that context that I need is typically right there inside the story.
Yeah. I will say I do like to check out the bio of a writer.
Yeah, that's a great point.
To see how you describe yourself. Because if you describe yourself as a social media manager for 10 years, experience in XYZ marketing, it just helps to have a little context on where you're coming from and why you are writing what you are writing. But this is not necessary. It's just interesting to check the bio to see what the writer is saying about herself. And if the topic is completely unrelated to what you're telling in your bio, I might just explicitly look for why you are writing that particular story. If you are normally writing about, I don't know, health and fitness, relationships, astrology, whatever it is. All right. So we have 2 more minutes. I have one lovely question for you, Zuli.
As soon as they have opposable thumbs. I keep waiting for the day, but so far, no luck.
Okay, 2 super short questions so we can wrap this up. Are there must-have tags to submit stories to Better Marketing?
I
don't
would
have any must-haves.
It better have marketing.
It better has marketing, but we don't have like anything else. We discussed this before, so if you missed that part, go back in the replay to the section where we talk about tags and how to best use them. But you know best what your story is about, and ideally the topics represent your story and what you're talking about. This is important when you submit to Better Marketing, but it is even more important for those of you who are not getting into Better Marketing yet, if you want us to discover your stories on the topic pages. If we rejected your submission in the new writers queue and you made edits, or you just published a story because you wanted to have it out quickly because it's timely and you didn't want to wait for our feedback, we will discover it on the right pages. We will not discover it if you don't tag it using tags like marketing or whatever the story is about. Last one, would you offer to change or modify the title of a story if you feel it's the only thing keeping it from being published?
Yeah, I would say we have and we will.
Yeah, I was going to say we had one just the other day that came through that had a couple of changes that was stopping it from being published. And I think we said, the title was only one of them. And we said that along with a bunch of other things.
Yeah, we've given feedback that a title needs to be changed. We've also given feedback that we're publishing a piece and giving it a few days of buffer and suggesting maybe a title update. So we definitely will give that feedback. I just will say the title is the first thing that we see. And so it is really important to put some thought into it. Obviously, if that's the only thing that's stopping it, we're going to let you know. But we want to go into your piece really excited to read it. We're often reading a whole queue of submissions all at one time. And again, that's just the first thing that we see with your piece. So yes, we will tell you, but also try to put in a little bit of effort up front.
Yeah. All right, we made it. Are there any final words from the two of you before we say goodbye?
No, I thought actually what Katie said was perfect. Just to kind of encapsulate what we're trying to do here at Better Marketing. We give you a little, you give us a little. We're trying to make Better Marketing the best place to read about marketing on the internet. And that's going to come from both of us, the three of us, and both of us, everybody who's watching this.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
So just wanted to say it's been so fun so far, and we're excited to keep going and keep growing and read more of your work.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for submitting or for preparing to submit. We are looking forward to your submissions. We are looking forward to welcome new story writers. We're looking forward to fresh angles, new ideas, and properly edited and ready to be nominated stories in our queue. So thank you for being here. Thank you for paying attention and for listening to everything we wanted to share with you. If you have any questions, if you feel like you need a little nudge, a piece of advice, any encouragement to get your piece out there, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you. As we've said before, we are here, we're looking for stories to publish, and we will be happy to be in touch and help you make that final changes to get your story out on Medium, but also hopefully get them boosted.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. One last thing. We've now started collecting all the we've tried to collect all the stories that have been boosted on Better Marketing. They're linked in our submission and style guidelines, so check them out if you haven't already.
Right. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you hopefully in an upcoming session. Bye-bye.
Bye.